Hello, my name is Shanna Hobbs. I am a graduate student with the University of Maine, Orono. I live in Seattle, Washington, where I work at a startup providing scalable reforestation solutions, particularly for post-wildfire replanting efforts. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about one of the projects I did for a class centered around food pantries in Maine. So the kind of theme of the class was the circular food system. And I was inspired by something one of our partnering stakeholders shared around concerns that there was going to be too much food surplus for pantries. So my goal was to look at pantries in relation to income and examine what populations are served most by food pantries and identify the gaps. I also wanted to educate and increase awareness around food pantries and be able to prioritize locations that were going to be in need of more resources and prevent that overwhelming surplus. So there were two main target audiences for this application. There was the food pantries themselves, providing them a tool to educate communities and to advocate for expansion. And then there was the consumers. And food pantries are actually a pretty important role for the circular food system. Perhaps most obviously, they promote the reuse of food that would otherwise get tossed. They will also sometimes work with producers to compost unused food, and they provide local opportunities to people who might not otherwise have access. So for this project, I decided to create a story map, which has interactive maps and dashboards and provides like a narrative structure that could kind of serve as an educational piece. And there were two main questions I was really kind of driving towards. That was if there's a correlation between low-income areas and the number of food pantries, and if there were major gaps in particularly in low-income areas. So I'm going to hop on over here to my story map. And yeah, it starts off with really just talking about food pantries, why people should care about them, and the challenges that they face, with some links to additional reading if someone really wanted to dive into the topic further. Then I started off just by showing a very simple kind of map of the distribution of food pantries across the state of Maine and in relation to population, which is these orange dots, with a slider so people could slide the income layer on and off. And the goal with this was really to familiarize users with the kind of interactive nature of the story map and a few of the data sets that we're going to be looking at. So then I did kind of a rough income block analysis in relation to the number of food pantries. So let me turn on the legend and zoom in a little bit here so you can get a better idea. So what you're looking at is the number of food pantries in a given income block. So you can see it's symbolized here by pantry count. And then the dashboard actually updates based on the data that's displayed. And if folks wanted, they can turn on income and population as well. Then I really wanted to also look at the service areas because access is one of the major barriers for food pantries. So rather than just doing like a buffer on each pantry, which is what you see here, I really wanted to look at driving distance. So I did a network analysis to identify the areas that were within a 5-minute drive of the food pantries. So that's what you're looking at here. That's what these kind of almost spider webby looking areas are. And they're symbolized by income. So these bluer areas are higher income, and these orange and brown are lower income. I also wanted to look at, once again, the number of pantries, but this time within a given service area and how that relates to income. So that's what you're looking at here. I just wanted to zoom in so you could get a better idea. And so these red areas are going to be the service areas that are low pantry counts and low income. And these lighter yellow areas are high pantry counts, high income. And then finally, like I said, I really wanted to look at where the gaps in food pantries were. So this is just one of the more kind kind of easier to use maps. So you can see here, these are the areas kind of with the service areas removed from the map, to look at the areas that are not within those service areas. And then it's symbolized once again by income. So these red areas in particular are those that are lower income and outside the service area. And then I enabled the population slider again, so any users could get a feel for which areas that are maybe in that lower income bracket are the most densely populated too. So yeah, then I just concluded the storyboard with links to the data sets that I used in case anyone who stumbled upon this wanted to replicate or do their own analysis. But yeah, overall it was a fun project, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you for listening.